Squire, where art thou? We must talk football. But of course, sir, you see, Man City beat Man United yesterday. Really? Isn't Man City terrible? But anyway, aside from that point, that's not the right football. I'm talking about American football. Oh yes, of course, sir. I've been keeping track of it just for you. Well, you see, sir, the Jaguars and the Falcons came over here to London to play at Wembley. At Wembley, what did Man United say? Never mind, just tell me about the game. Well, you see, the Jaguars played fantastically. Well, not too fantastically, actually. According to a lot of other people, the Jaguars really played really badly, but the Falcons just happened to play even worse, with the quarterback being sacked an infinite amount of times. An infinite amount of times. That is definitely a lot of times. Yes, it is, sire. Well, then, so the Jaguars won, I assume? Yes, by quite a bit. And by the way, sire, did you see that Toy Story broadcast when you were watching on TV? Yes, I did see it when I was watching on the television. Don't use slang like TV. Yes, you would be correct. Televisión. Television. Don't say it in Spanish either. Say it normally. Television. Yes, sir. Television. Television. Television? What are you even saying? Anyway, aside from the point, but the Jaguars did win that one, but we also had 2 games that went to overtime last week. Really now, Squire? What were they? Well, you see, the first game just so happened to be the Rams and the Colts. The Rams and the Colts, you say? Interesting. Didn't the Rams lose last week in Cincinnati? Correct, they did, sire. But they did not have the same fate this time, because in overtime, Matthew Stafford hit wide receiver Puka Nacua into the end zone for a game-winning walk-off touchdown. Thrilling, exhilarating. I was watching it myself. Were you? Then I don't really have to tell you, do I? No, not really. Well, anyway, let's move on to the one that you weren't watching. Well, you said I was watching NFL Red Zone, so I was watching all of them. Then why am I doing this? Because I want to talk. That makes sense. Okay, let's go on to the next game then. So, the next game was a thrilling overtime battle between the Commanders and the Eagles. Shocking. What? Yeah, it was shocking. Yes, it was shocking. And why did you say, you're not from the back streets? You're from royalty. I'm actually not from royalty. I'm from Liverpool. I don't even know why you're here. I mean, I'm from Man City, just like you. Yes. Go, Man City. Anyway, but yes, the Eagles won that one, narrowly by a 3-point victory because of a bad call by the Washington's head coach, Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera? Yes, Ron Rivera. That's what I said. But anyway, he missed the opportunity to go for 2 and win the game. Instead, he sends it into overtime, only for his lackluster offense to fail and give the Eagles the ball so they could win the game with the game-winning touchdown. Another dramatic finish. What else happened? Well, you see, we remember this team very well. What are you doing? I haven't finished the joke yet. I was going to say, we remember them very well. Why are you saying that? You haven't let me finish, sire. Why are we remembering them very well? Because they're the Titans. Let me finish my joke. Why is that funny? They'll understand, hopefully. But anyway, yes, they did win. They absolutely creamed the Cincinnati Bengals. Why? Were they near a pie factory? No, it's a metaphor, sir. That is a terrible metaphor. Well, I suppose it is, yes. But creamed is absolutely obliterated, annihilated, destroyed. With the Bengals, correct? Yes, Cincinnati Bengals and the Tennessee Titans. The Titans won that one. Okay. What else happened? Well, you see, sire, it was another fantastic game between, not a fantastic game, actually. Then why did you say it was a fantastic game? I don't know. It was actually a rather disappointing game. What was it? Well, you see, it was the Patriots and the Cowboys. And that was disappointing? Well, indeed it was. The Cowboys utterly annihilated them. I do like my horsemen who annihilate people. Do you have any horsemen? Yes, they're called the cavalry. You're in them. How do you not know that word? Well, you see, sir, I never took vocabulary. Are you still a knight here? Well, yes, of course I'm a knight. For how long? What do you mean, for how long? Oh. Anyway, we're just going to forget about that for now. Yes, it was an exhilarating matchup between the Cowboys and the Patriots. The Cowboys' defense absolutely dominated the Patriots, so much that they took out their quarterback, Mackenzie Jones. Are you sure it's not just Mac? You know, I think it is just Mac. Mac Jones, they took him out of the game, and then he got replaced by Bailey Zapp. Bailey Zapp? Bailey Zappi. His name's Zappy. But yes, of course, I knew that, sir. It was Bailey Zappi took over for him, and then the Patriots did nothing with him again, and the Patriots lost 38-3. Rather disappointing if you're a Patriots fan, but that's just the life now that Tom Brady is out, huh? Well, yes, I suppose it is. But Squire, it does seem like it was a pretty good week for football. Who do we have in London next week? Why not Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? We have another great matchup as the Jaguars decided to stay overnight here in London, and they're deciding to stay the week and stay for another game up in a different stadium and playing the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills. Oh, it's going to be another good one. You see, the Bills did utterly destroy the Miami Dolphins on Sunday after the Dolphins put up 70 points against the Denver Broncos. Well, I can see why. The Bills are a very good team. Well, yes, they are. And the Jaguars are a just okay team. Correct. So, theoretically speaking, the Bills would beat the Jaguars. In most cases, correct, yes. Well, then why are we watching it? I don't know, it's just, who knows, anything can happen, it's football. I guess that's true. Well, I can't wait for Sunday then, can you, Squire? No, I can't, I'm going to be excited. I'm going to go to the game this time. Yes, I am as well. Tottenham Hotspur's right by my house. Isn't this your house? Yes. But we're in Manchester. Oh yeah, that's right. Wait, it's right by my summer residence. Your summer residence in Liverpool. Why would I ever put my summer residence in Liverpool? You're from Liverpool. Ow, that hurts, but anyway. Yes, it's going to be a very thrilling game between the Bills and the Jaguars. Yes, it is. I'll see you there, Squire. I'll see you there as well. Hello and welcome back to R Square's Monday Morning Mayhem. My name is R Square and we're back for a little something different this week. We are doing a little bit of a review of the week, but on the other hand, we're also pointing out some issues with some the big questions, and I'm going to answer them for myself, and you guys can weigh in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe, because if we hit 50 subscribers, we're going to have a special show. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be insane. So let's go ahead and get to 50 subscribers. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you get all the notifications for when any one of these videos release. But anyway, let's get right down to the games. We're starting off with Thursday Night Football, live from Lambeau Field. The Lions won this one 34-20. The big question for me that I have is Jordan Love living up to all of the hype that he had coming into this game? Because everyone thought, oh, the Packers have a chance, but losing by 14, they were down by 30 at one point in the game, I believe. Yeah, they were up by 30 points at one point in the game. It was kind of a disappointing game at first, but then finally, they were down by 27, I believe. Yeah, 24 was the largest deficit. It was not a great game for the Packers. They tried to pull a little bit of a Minnesota comeback, but everyone knew that wasn't going to happen because in the end, you still got Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, and Christian Watson. That's not going to win you all those games that you have. So, I mean, that's my big question, is can the Packers really a legitimate chance to win the NFC North? And my answer to this question is they can, but they won't because of Detroit. They're going to finish second, most likely, because the Bears are throwing their season away. The Vikings, they got something really wrong with them. It's called defense is shutting down Justin Jefferson. I think the Packers are going to finish second in the division. We'll see if they make the playoffs or not, but I think the big question is, can they win the division? I'm going to say no. I think the Lions probably have this one with Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery both pulling their weight in this one. I think it's going to be a really interesting competition towards the end of the year, but I think that Detroit's going to come up on top. Next up, we have Sunday slate of games, starting with Miami and Buffalo. The Bills won this one 48-20. The big question is, are the Dolphins still good? They did shoot out the Broncos 70-20. Then they go out there and get shut out against Buffalo. Are they really that good? My answer to this question is yes. They are really that good. It's just that the Bills played. I think the Bills might be better. Honestly, they might be a little bit better. The Dolphins, they're a good team in general. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, they have a lot of big threats. I saw someone call them the greatest show on the turf since the greatest show on the turf. And I think that's crazy. And I mean, they are good. But I don't know if they're quite the greatest show on the turf good, and that's kind of wise because they did lose that game to Buffalo. But when you think about it, even the greatest show on the turf lost a game or two. Next up, we have the International Series. We have the Falcons and the Jaguars. Interesting one. The big question for me is Desmond Ridder, yay or nay in Atlanta? I'm going to go ahead and say that they were better off with Marcus Mariota. They ran a very old-fashioned playbook style. I think that Atlanta would have been better off keeping Mariota. Desmond Ridder doesn't really fit their playbook, per se. But their backups, they don't really have many options. They got Taylor Heineke, who's been a consistent backup through most of his career, and that's done pretty okay. He led the Commanders to a playoff push when he was their starter for a little bit. And then, of course, there's the other backup, Logan Woodside, who spent some time in Tennessee with head coach Arthur Smith when he was their offensive coordinator. But I think the answer is nay for Atlanta. We could be seeing Atlanta in the QB market next year in the offseason. I think their season might just kind of be slowly collapsing in on itself due to lack of offensive production. And, of course, that offensive line isn't helping them. The way that they're winning games is by bouncing outside with the running back. Next question, we have the Denver Broncos and the Chicago Bears. The big question is for the Bears. There's a lot of questions, actually, in this one. Are the Broncos, Sean Payton, really all that they were thought to be in the offseason? The answer is already no to that one. But the big question for Chicago is Matt Eberflus intentionally trying to get fired? Because that's the track that he's going on. He's about to get fired. I'm pulling the trigger by week 6 if I'm the Bears. If we lose the next 2 games, if you're the Bears, he's out. Because he intentionally threw the game away. He could have kicked a field goal, made it 31 to, they could have kicked a field goal in the fourth quarter, which would have made it 31 to, I believe it would have been 31 to 21 at the time, gotten them up by 10 points, and it would have gone into overtime. They could have given themselves a fighting chance, but instead, he punts it away. Bad call there for the Bears. So I think that's the big question. Matt Eberflus, will he stay longer? I think the answer is no. Next up, Baltimore and Cleveland. Deshaun Watson was injured in this one. Dorian Thompson-Robinson didn't see a whole lot. He was not ready for the pro football appearance, and I think that's probably a big problem for Cleveland, is that he wasn't ready in general. He threw 3 picks in this one. He's not a very passing quarterback. He's a very rush-heavy QB. So the big question is, even if Deshaun Watson does come back in the next week, do they even stand a chance at winning the AFC North with Baltimore in there? My answer is no, they do not stand a chance at winning the AFC North. Baltimore is a good team. They're a team that's really figuring things out, because before last year and the year before that, it was Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, and the defense. Now they have Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Odell Beckham. They still have that lack of running back, but they still got that defense there, as we saw from the 3 picks from Cleveland. So the answer is no. I do not think that Cleveland is going to be able to come up with the AFC North. Houston and Pittsburgh. Houston won this one 30-6 in a shocker. The big question for me is with Houston, and that one is, do you think the Houston Texans, that C.J. Stroud is playing the best than any other rookie quarterback drafted in period? And the only ones that we've seen active are C.J. Stroud, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Anthony Richardson, and, of course, Bryce Young. Out of those 4 guys, I think C.J. Stroud has had the most success. Anthony Richardson hasn't looked half bad, so in order, I would say Stroud, Richardson, Young, and then last place, Thompson-Robinson. But overall, I think it's been a really interesting year for C.J. Stroud. We'll see what they can do, coming in on a record of 2-2 going into Week 5. That's a huge improvement from where they were last year. I think it might be paying off, that trade. It might be paying off for C.J. Stroud there. Remember, they also got Will Anderson, who's also been making a pretty decent difference on their defense and special teams. Next up, we have the 0-4 Carolina Panthers and the 1-3 Minnesota Vikings. The Kings won this one 21-13. It turned out to be a decent game by the end. It was interesting, to say the least. The Vikings had to do a little comeback magic, which I'm personally a little bit upset about. wasn't Minnesota's best performance. The biggest question is, can Minnesota keep winning games? Can they keep winning games? My answer is it really does depend. It really does depend on who they're playing, because they really should have won a couple of big games down the stretch in those three losses, but they could not. In week 4, they come up with a big win against an 0-4 team that they barely snuck out in because of huge miscues by Bryce Young and the Panthers offense. I think the answer is maybe they can come up with wins, but they really got to fix some stuff if they're going to do that. Because, I mean, Kevin O'Connell's he's an offensive mastermind. The only problem is that the team isn't executing properly. It's just not working right now for Minnesota. Next up, we had our overtime matchup question for the Rams and the Colts. Are the Rams better than the 49ers? That's the question. No. They're not. They're not better than the Seahawks, and they're not better than the 49ers. They're a young team that very well could be in the next 2 years, but right now, the Los Angeles Rams are not better than the 49ers or the Seahawks. They don't have that offensive firepower yet. Kyron Williams had another great game, as did Puka Nacua, of course, with that game-winning touchdown. And Matthew Stafford threw for 319 for a touchdown and an interception. Kyron Williams had 25 carries for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one. Puka Nacua, 9 receptions. Listen to this. 9 receptions, 163 yards, and a walk-off touchdown. That guy's a stud right there. That's a star. That's got to be something you got to watch on. I would add him to your fantasy team now if you haven't already in your league, because that guy, he's got something ahead of him. Because he is, I believe the statistic was he's like the highest, most yards, most touchdowns, and most receptions in a game in the first 4 games of a rookie season. The other people on there were like Saquon Barkley. I believe Jerry Rice was on that list. There's a lot of stars in that top 10 list there. That's crazy. Anyway, next up we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. The big question is, can Tampa Bay win the NFC South? Very easily is my answer. They can very, very easily win the NFC South. It's not even going to be hard for them. I mean, if there's a case for every NFC South team. Oh, but the Falcons got Bijan Robinson, so they might pull it off. The Saints have the easiest schedule in the NFL. They have a real shot with the team that they got. Oh, but they didn't expect Derek Carr to get injured. Oh, what about the Panthers? Oh, they got Bryce Young. He might end up being the star of the century or something. And then last of all, of course, there's the Bucs, who had the least hope out of anyone, but they've actually been the most successful. Now, however, they're missing Mike Evans as a key part of that offense. He got hurt in their game against the Saints. But either way, they still came up with a win there. That's still impressive in and of itself. A 3-1 start for a team who has been as tragic to watch their offseason building as the Buccaneers. It was, I call it tragic, and it was tragic to watch them build up. Maybe Baker Mayfield will be good to add to the team as a backup, and they ended up getting no one better. Well, maybe this guy that we've never heard of named Rashad White would be a decent running back. How about we add literally no wide receivers to back up Chris Evans and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And let's keep our defense exactly the same, full of slowly decaying bodies that are the veterans that are on our defense. And somehow they're still number 1 in the division because of those decaying bodies on defense. They are the only ones keeping the Bucs alive right now, not seeing much offensive talent. But that is why I say, yes, it is very possible that Tampa Bay can win the NFC South. Except Philadelphia, Washington. Big question is, can Philly hold on to the NFC East? I think they can. I think it's gonna be a little closer than we thought, because I don't know what happened, but the Eagles last year they lost that game at home against Washington last year, and they're almost lost it again this year. It makes you question whether they're the real deal or not. Because there are a couple teams who are like, well, maybe they're not the real deal because they lost a game here and there in the first 4 weeks. They may or may not be the real deal. I'm going to say it's still in their range of possibility to win that, but I don't think it's like a for sure thing that they can win that. I think it's going to be a little closer than a lot of people imagine. The Cowboys are still there. They're still a good team. They still got that defense. The only team that I think's out of it right now are probably the Giants, because the Commanders still got. They're still 2-2. They're still in the race. like they somehow always end up being. But I think that the Eagles or Cowboys are probably going to pull away with the NFC East. Then we have the Bengals and the Titans. The Titans absolutely crushed Cincinnati. Big question is, Cincinnati still alive? No, let's be real. They're not still alive. Cincinnati is done with. There is not a chance that Cincinnati can come back after such a bad start. I mean, we've seen teams do it before, but I'm going to tell you this statistic. Only like 16 teams have ever made the playoffs after a 1-3 start. And like 4 of those are the Texans. And it's like, how? How did the Texans make it so many times? But they made it in 2016 while losing their first 3 games. But it's still not a good start for Cincinnati. It's not a good start at all. I think that their playoff chances are pretty dim now. Then we have the Chargers and the Raiders. The Raiders themselves, the black and silver, without Jimmy Garoppolo. But instead they got Aiden O'Connell, who didn't play half badly in this one. It wasn't a great game, but it wasn't necessarily terrible for him. Because, I mean, that's not the big question, though. The big question comes from the Chargers, because I saw Stephen and I talk about this on First Take, and I'm going, I don't really agree with him. But at the same time, there is something wrong with the Los Angeles Chargers. He said that if they get Brandon Staley out of Los Angeles, they win the Super Bowl. I don't know if that's the right call, because I mean, he is a defensive head coach, and he's a terrible defensive head coach, because they allowed 17 points against Aiden O'Connell. They allowed 36 against the Dolphins, 24 against the Vikings, 17 against the Raiders. Just not good defense all around. Teams are averaging like 24 points per game on the Chargers defense. That is not good at all. That's the big question. I think that it will make a difference whether Brandon Staley stays in or not. Then we have the Cowboys and the Patriots. This one I don't have any questions for. The only question really is Mac Jones, yay or nay, stays as Patriots quarterback, or are they in the quarterback market next season? The answer is they're in the quarterback market next season. I never thought Mac Jones is the guy in New England. They're probably going to end up trading up for a high top 10 pick if they're not already in there. I think that the Patriots take a quarterback there. Arizona, San Francisco, the Cardinals, and the Niners. The big question is the Cardinals don't look terrible. They did score 16 points on 49ers defense, who hasn't allowed many points this year. I don't think the Cardinals are that bad. They are still the worst team in the NFC West. They're just not that bad. They're not terrible. It's just that they're not great. So I think the Cardinals still have a small amount of hope, like a small, itty-bitty sliver of hope at some success that can get them out of the bottom 10, but not much. Then we have Sunday Night Football, Kansas City and the New York Jets. This one was pretty interesting. The big question for this one was, did the Jets do stuff right this time? I think the Jets did get something right. They got Zach Wilson going a little bit. I was kind of impressed by Zach Wilson's performance. He didn't play badly, but in the end it was his fault. He dropped the snap. That's a fumble, and that's Chiefs ball. That's a big mistake. Got to eliminate all the turnovers if you're the Jets, and that's kind of the big problem in that case. But anyway, that's all the games we have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We're almost there, and then we'll have a special show once we have 50 subscribers. And of course, hit that notification bell so you can get all the notifications whenever I release one of these videos. Keep you updated on your sports stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.